Hi, my name is Doug Dickey. Most of you know me, but there's a few people here. This is my Wednesday Zoom. I'll be doing this Zoom every Wednesday at 6 p.m. You know, hopefully I won't get stuck somewhere where I can't do the Zoom, but you can pretty much count on it being 6 p.m. Mountain Time. And the purpose of this Zoom is we wanted to, for those that were on Monday's Zoom, that learned about Clean Start 90, kind of a system to tell people about toxicity and heavy metals. I want to share my story and also maybe ask others to share their story at the same time. And so thanks everybody for being on. We'll try to keep this under 40 minutes or so. But if those that know me say will say there's no way because Doug can't stop talking. So we'll give it a shot and see if I can do that correctly. So again, my name's Doug Dickey. I am one of the founders of Avini Health. I was the vice president of sales for the first 3.5 years and helped put the company together. And I decided after 3 years of traveling 25 days a month that I was going to step down from corporate and be a distributor like everybody else. My purpose is more around sharing this incredible product, Cell Defender, and so I want to share with everybody. Some people haven't heard my story in a long time, and some people have never heard it. So I'm going to go through and explain it, and then I might ask a couple people to share their story also. Anyways, I'm 57 years old now. When I was 27, I went to work at I was working at a pest control company, opening about 15 packages of pesticide, dry powder every day, mixing it with water and spraying it around houses. And I did this for about 2 years, about 15 places a day. And I show up at work one day and there's a guy sitting on a little cushion, little brown donut. And I made a really mean joke about it. And he said he had had his colon cut out over the weekend. And the doctors were making him sit on this little donut. I felt instantly bad, was about to apologize for the bad joke when the guy next to him, Marshall, said, "Yep, last year I had parts of my colon cut out." And then the guy next to him, Bill, said, "Yep, me too. I had parts of my colon cut out." And it just went down the row. And I apparently have a superpower where I can see a pattern that nobody else apparently can see. I was having all kinds of problems going to the bathroom number two. And so it was a real struggle for me. And so I ended up quitting that day, I had 2 months of insurance. So I went to the doctor, I had them check my colon and found that there was something about the size of a pea, about 8 inches from my rectum. And this was not good news, but I kind of assumed that this was what was happening, just like the other people had. And so I decided to go into nutrition. I didn't have them poke the thing. They didn't clip it. I left the doctor's office, said, "Don't touch it, don't do anything," because I had felt I'd been healthy my whole life. I ran 5 miles in the morning, 5 miles at night, all through high school, and for 5, 6 years after graduating. And so I was really healthy. I felt if I ate healthy foods, went on a raw food diet, got rid of the sugar and all the fast foods, I would get better. And so I started that. I came home, threw all the sugar and stuff out of the house, and within 3 months, I had lost 45 pounds of fat, lost my belly, had muscles coming out everywhere, could see my six pack. It was really awesome. And I was bragging to people how healthy I'd gotten, how I had beat this, possible disease by eating healthy. And I was talking to other people and teaching them about nutrition and doing what a lot of people do. Well, fast forward. about 8 years. I'm in a hospital. My liver is shut down. My adrenals are shut down. And I have something about the size of a lemon in my colon, 8 inches from my rectum. And the doctors are telling me that this is really bad. We need to go and do a biopsy. And I just thought I had done everything we're supposed to do. I'd read over 100 books. I had um, literally converted myself to just raw foods, staying away from processed foods, and felt better. Everything was working fine, but it didn't stop the disease. The disease continued going. And so I felt like this was just fate. And rather than them cut a chunk out and go through all the cost and pain and everything, I was just going to walk it out with my life insurance policy. And so that was my plan. I left the the whole medical thing, essentially didn't go back, and was just going to see how things go. So fast forward another 15 years. I'm very, very sick. I'm sleeping about 16 to 18 hours a day. Um, my workout for the day is climbing up 12 stairs and back down 12 stairs. Just mostly sleeping all the time. I have a big swollen thing under my armpit. I have a skin issue on top of my head they said would take my life, and I'm doing nothing about it. At the time, I was drinking roughly 8 Cokes and 2 candy bars and some fast food in the 6 to 8 hours I was awake, just to get me woke up to do a little bit of work. Luckily, I had some companies that sort of ran by themselves. And so my plan was, you know, within the next year or so, I was going to be gone. So I get a phone call from a longtime friend, a nutrition expert, a guy who had been eating perfectly for years. And he tells me that he has 5 lesions on his prostate, really bad. The doctor said it was going to change his whole life. This is a guy who ate right, who did everything he was supposed to do, and yet he still had disease on his prostate. So I wished him well, told him, suggestions. Basically, I had my own problems, and we didn't talk anymore. So 3 months later, he calls me, just leaving the doctor's office, and says it's all gone. And I go, how do you know it's all gone? They took it out, they did surgery. He says, no, I was taking this product. And I said, what product? He says, it's a zeolite. It's basically dirt. It's in this little bottle here. It's dirt and water. Well, I happen to be an expert in soils. I invented some fertilizers. I worked in the fertilizer industry for 20 years. I own a manufacturing fertilizer company. And I thought, no way, BS. There's no way. He tells me it's a zeolite. Well, zeolite's just alumina and silica that's, instead of being negatively charged on the outside, it's negatively charged on the inside. It's just like sand. So if you're outside and you're getting some sand in your mouth, zeolite's just like sand, but it's hollow instead of block like a brick. And I said, there's no way. He says, I don't know, Doug. You're the expert, but I can tell you that I took this product and I've gotten better. 3 months. So I said, well, how do you know you've gotten better? He says, well, I'm really impatient. So every 3 weeks I would go down, I'd have a CAT scan done, and I can mark every 3 weeks that these issues with my prostate were going away. And so I'm like, that's fantastic. That's awesome. Good for you. And I hang up. Not interested. Don't want to hear. It's going to ruin my plan. So I just didn't believe it. I figured it was one of the other 20 nutritional things that he does. Cutting out sugars was probably a big help. All these other things that he was doing. It couldn't be this product. So I ignore it. About 8 months later, I'm really much sicker, bleeding about a half a cup of blood a day rectally, to give you an example. Lots of pain, lots of distended issues in my stomach. And then one of the guys that I owe money, a business partner, calls me, says, hey, I need to meet with you. Can you meet me for lunch? So I get up, I go to meet him for lunch, and I walk in, and he does this like superstar thing where he throws his hands out and he squats down. He's an 80-year-old Chinese doctor who hasn't had balance for 10 years, and he got his balance back. So I'm pretty shocked about it. I ask him how. Guess what he shows me? Same product. So I'm like, oh no, this is crazy. So he says, you ought to try this product. Maybe this can help you feel better. So I decided to go ahead and get the 15 pack. At the time, they sold 15 bottles. Called my friend Dave and said, hey, is this the same product? He says, yes, it's incredible. So I decided to do what Dave had done. He took 10 drops every hour that he was awake. And he went through about a bottle every 6 days. So I said, fine, I'll do 10 to 15 drops. So I literally just shake it, very difficult to take. You squirt some in your mouth, do it again in an hour. And so I did that, kept it in my pocket. I made myself an agreement that if I thought about it, I would take it out and take it. So I was taking about 14, 16 times a day. One whole week goes by, nothing. Don't feel any different, nothing. Second week goes by, and my friend Dave calls and says, hey, how you feeling? Nothing. I told you this wasn't going to work. Nothing ever works. So then the third week, I notice that I get all these pimples on the back of my neck. Now, I haven't really met anybody that's ever had the same issue, but I had this skin issue on top of my head they said was going to take my life. It never did. About size of a quarter right on top of my head. The third week, I get all these pimples. I get rid of the pimples the way that you do. They smell awful. And it just literally, um, affected, they were smelly and it was awful. It was an awful week. However, at the end of that week, I had beautiful new skin on top of my head, pink new skin. And it was one of these things that I was blown away that that thing was gone. And it came out in my neck, a bunch of pimples, about 60 to 70 pimples. So again, I haven't met anybody since that's had the same result, but I thought, okay, that's interesting. Then I realized that I hadn't been bleeding for, I guess, 2 or 3 weeks. That had stopped. So I thought maybe there's something to this. The fourth week, I come out of depression, which I didn't realize I was depressed. The fifth week, I'm peeing the most awful smelling, toxic smelling urine. It felt, it was awful. Peeing that all the time. By the end of the fifth week, beginning of the sixth week, I'm waking up at 6 in the morning, full of energy, uh, feeling like I need to go run. And so this really bothered me. It bothered me that, okay, is it my mind? Is this real? I had this issue. I'd been sick for so long. I had accepted the way out. And now all of a sudden I'm feeling alive. My brain's working. I'm not having these issues. So I decided to put it to the test. I tell my son, who's 27 at the time, I'm going to go to the Grand Canyon this next weekend, and I'm going to climb it from the rim to the river to the rim, which I'd done when I was 21. If I die on this, then I'll know it's not true. If I survive it and am able to do it, then I know that this is real. And he's like, Dad, this is a bad idea. You're for sure going to die. I said, well, that's why I want you and a few other people to go to carry my dead body out. And they laughed and giggled. And that weekend, we drove to the Grand Canyon. I climbed the Grand Canyon from the rim to the river to the rim, 24 miles, 6,000 vertical feet, down and up, and was fine the next day. Wasn't sore, wasn't exhausted. And I realized, oh, this is real. And I came back home and basically buried my head into sharing this product with people. And that is how I was introduced to this. Now, I'm one of these people that gets, I've got to be shown. I should have been born in Missouri because you have to show me everything. I do not believe most things. And so I think this was the way that I had to wake up to this, that this was real. So I'm a scientist, so I start studying this. How does this work? How is it possible it gets in the bloodstream? The size, the fact that it's been micronized and activated, what does that do? And so I spend a lot of time. I fly out to Florida. I meet with Rick Deitch, the inventor of this. I find out that he originally invented this to remove chemotherapy from the bloodstream. And so I discover this the studies and the information, and basically we follow it through a couple different companies, and finally we start our own company, Avini, and we call it Cell Defender. And this changes lives. We have 1,800 testimonials. Now, a couple things to fix on the chat. Dave says it was an MRI, not a CAT scan. So that'll correct that. And then everybody who gets on the high dose and stays on the high dose for 2 to 3 months will get to a part where their urine smells awful. Now, I've talked to Rick about this. He says these are the chemicals coming out, the PFAS and other volatile organic compounds. They have a lot of odor. It's not the heavy metals, but your body will grab the heavy metals first and pull them out. And so I needed to know how and why before I push anything. Now, if God just saved me and he snapped his fingers and I was better, I'm good with that. I can accept that. But this was a product that was physically doing something in my body. I need to know how and why. And I'll share some of that tonight with my Zoom. It's important when for a lot of people, they don't need to know why. They just need to say, let me try it and I'll use it and let you know. For others, it's they like to know how, how do I get from here to here? I got to go get in the car. I got to have enough fuel. I got to start the engine. I need my keys. These things have to be in order. So that's who I am. And I like to explain that for people. And so I'll do that here in a few minutes. The other thing um, with this product, I mentioned the Clean Start 90, which is on Monday nights at 6 p.m. on a Zoom, healthyou.info, where we share an easy, simple program for people to go through the process. Now, when we first got started and we started sharing this product, we only had a couple other products. And so people were on this for 90 days. They were doing the high dose. Hey, I'll do 10 drops 10 times a day or 15 times a day also, and I'll see how it does for me. Now, about 5% needs to do a little bit of other things because they have a detox event, but we can compensate for that. But most people can take the product and clean out their blood and lymphatic system. If you detox with some herbs or some different detoxifying agents, it detoxifies the cells into the circulatory system. So it muddies up your blood and your lymphatic system. That puts more pressure on your body because those metals and toxins don't have an easy way to leave the body. Introduce Cell Defender, this little garbage can that's been prepared and made with in a certain way to be safe in the bloodstream, safe in the body, and the body naturally gets rid of it. It knows what dirt is because it's been dealing with it with all the foods you eat. And so to be able to take this garbage can, put it into the bloodstream and lymphatic system, it flows around for a period of time, 6 to 8 hours, and then it fills up, and then your body's like, oh my gosh, this guy, Doug, he eats so much dirt. And then it kicks it out through the urine, and you pee out the toxins. So it comes in, it binds with just heavy metals and a few chemical toxins, leaves your healthy metals alone, and then gets kicked out of the body. And I tell people this product is not a miracle. This product is science. The miracle happens when Rick Deitch takes a large particle of sand in the form of clinoptilolite, this zeolite, and he makes it smaller so it can be absorbed in the bloodstream. He goes through a 34-step process to clean all the heavy metals, chemicals, and toxins out of it. And then he preloads it again with the perfect size of potassium, calcium, and magnesium. So that way it's activated to trade for the heavy metals. A nice, gentle detox of grabbing just the bad metals and leaves all your healthy metals alone because it already has the healthy metals in it. And so that's the miracle. The brilliance of Rick Deitch, this biochemist who was trying to remove chemotherapy from the body before it harms you, lets it do its work, and then removes it. And that's where this is so powerful. Armed with that information, we say, okay, what else is it doing in the body? Well, there's 10 studies that suggest when this zeolite cage is flowing around the body, blood and lymph, that it'll flow by bad cells and by healthy cells. So there's healthy cells and there's dysregulated cells, which are basically acidic. They're acidic on the outside. Well, it just happens to be that this zeolite cage can mop up some of those acid particles outside the bad cell, allowing the bad cell's normal genes to decide whether it should still be there or not. It allows the body's own mechanisms within the genes to really fix itself. Our product doesn't fix anything. It removes heavy metals, chemicals, and toxins. And while going around, it mops up inflammatory signals, other particles, hydrogen ions, which are acidic, and heavy metals. And so it's more of a environmental buffer or regulator in the system, which allows the body to work naturally to decide which cells will stay and which cells will go. And there's 10 studies on this. We reference them in the study that we have in the back office out of Croatia. There's some 90 studies there, and there's 10 of them in there that talk about this 2017 study. So really, really powerful. Now, do we make medical claims? No. This cannot heal anything. It can't fix anything. It can't treat anything. So getting into what issue somebody has doesn't matter. The question is can your body fix itself if you remove these heavy metals, chemicals, and toxins that are in the way of your body fixing itself? It's such a beautiful, beautiful opportunity to help people make themselves healthy. Now, I have a friend who's got this incredible nutritional product, very high quality. He has some disease. Even though he's taken all this nutrition, he's lost 100 pounds of weight doing all of this nutrition. What do you think happened to all the heavy metals, chemicals, and toxins that were stored in that 100 pounds of fat? They got released into the body, and they're not leaving the body. Your body gets rid of less than 1% of the heavy metals that come back to the liver. So disease would be an expected thing to come from losing a whole bunch of weight. When I started on my diet, I lost 45 pounds of fat. I dumped all the heavy metals and toxins back into my bloodstream, back onto my liver from losing the weight. So before you go and lose the weight, you need to do 90 days of the high dose. I don't care who you are. 90 days is shown if you're doing at least 10 drops 10 times a day that you can clean out the blood and lymph and the organs and set your body up to a point where it can heal itself. Then the nutrition really matters. Then the exercise matters. Then the water matters. All the other things we're doing that are symptomatic, when you use the root, you remove that root cause of the issue, the heavy metals, chemicals, and toxins, and then also perhaps trigger the body to be able to clean itself up. Our body's been replacing our cells since we were born, even before we were born. And so this is the power, and this is why the 90-day clean start program, you got to clean your blood and lymphatic system. And then from there, it will allow your body to fix itself. The power in being able to, one, give somebody hope. I went 15 years without hope. And it's so difficult, especially for men, because men keep it to themselves, and it's really difficult. But the ability to get somebody to take the product, very inexpensive, commit to 90 days, help 3, 5, 10 other people know about it. We send people to something called CS90 score, so they can take a score that's about their symptoms tied to heavy metals and toxins. They can determine whether they have some issues directly. I love the idea that sharing this information in a very simple way and then let them find their way to our product. Absolutely incredible. And my testimonial is one that, the first time I told it, it was kind of clunky. There was information. I was asked questions. The second time I told it, I added the answers into those questions. And I just kept uh, creating a timeline. What happened in the first week? What happened in the second week? And I share that information that's made such a difference in my life that has committed me to sharing this full time for 4 years and into my fifth, well, actually for 5 years, 4 years with Avini. And I personally believe, and our goal for Clean Start 90 is to get 1 million people in this next year to know about the product, to take the score, to say, gosh, I'm not at 100%. I'm at 60 or 65 or 70. I want to be at 100. Why am I not at 100? Why am I settling for a symptom score of 65 or 70? And many people are unaware that the symptoms are caused by heavy metals. We're treating all these levels of symptoms when the root cause are 5 heavy metals, a couple volatile organic compounds, and some metabolites from some microplastics and PFAS. You can Google heavy metals and disease, and the whole first section will tell you all of the ways that heavy metals, common in the food, common in the water, small, safe amounts added to our fertilizers, our fungicides, our insecticides, our herbicides, everything is putting metals into the environment. We're consuming them. We build them up over 40, 50 years, and then we have health issues. And if you remove those metals, the only product that I am aware of that will remove those metals from your blood and lymph is this product right here. Chelation therapy will grab all the metals and it'll make you sick. Very few people do chelation therapy more than twice because they think they're going to die, because it's grabbing calcium and magnesium faster than it grabs heavy metals. With this, we're getting just the heavy metals and these chemicals out of the bloodstream. Your liver calms down, glutathione production goes up, cortisol comes down, your adrenal glands come down. It just calms the system down so it can start to fix itself. And people can see that, and you could pee in a cup and send it off and test and show the increase and the decrease of the heavy metals. So there's ways to test it yourself. Paul, you have a question? Go ahead.
Doug, one of the things, I mean, I met you probably 8 or 9 months after maybe you had your life-saving experience, and then since then, and I think one of the things I want to point out for me, because I inadvertently did the Clean Start 90 because that's what everybody did, 10 drops 10 times a day or more for 90 days. And I had my own personal amazing story, but I just seen that replicated so much, and I think that's the power of Clean Start 90 is that no matter where you're at in your health or where you think you are, what you're going to do in the future for your health, because of the toxic world we live in, and we're not going to put Pandora back in its box. This is the place where everybody needs to start, and then we can add all the other good things to it to enhance the body's ability to heal itself. And the other thing I want to point out too is that we've seen amazing stories and have captured thousands of them as far as what I call once blind, now I see stories, not one-offs. These are over and over again because the body is such a miracle if you get the junk out of the way. But there's so many people that just put a lot of the symptoms of the body's talking to you, and we put that in the category, well, I'm just getting old, it's just my lot in life. And and they don't understand the vibrancy that they could have. And that's where the cs90score.com website comes in, where you can score yourself, and people are finding they're a 45, a 60, a 65, and most people aren't happy with that. And then we can interject, hey, we have a product you can't get anywhere else, 90 days, really simple, easy to do, no lifestyle changes, just do this to start with, and just validate that we can move the needle, not only how you feel, but we can validate it with retaking the quiz. And so that's what's really exciting, is that it's you did a masterful job of explaining the product, and you're so knowledgeable, but a lot of people don't have that technical understanding, but you don't really need it. I mean, really, if you just get people to take a score and just know that we have a clinically backed product that will help and support your body's natural ability to heal itself, and then just watch what happens 10 times a day, 10 drops 10 times a day for 90 days. And it really is that simple. I do want to mention too, Doug, you mentioned, just to touch on that, but Zimmunity mushrooms is a great product to add for those that may have, what we call a Herxheimer effect, or, symptoms. But that's what, less than 5%, maybe?
Yes, that's what Rick says. Yep.
Yeah. So if you do experience that, if people are like, oh, that's too much, don't stop taking it. Just back it down to where, and work your way back up. Get people to work themselves back up to where they can, it might take them a month to get to 10 drops 10 times a day, but hold that for 90 days. Most people, I had no problems. Most people hundreds that I've done have no problems, but there are always those few. And so anyways, someone asked for the website, Doug. The website for the quiz to take the score is cs90score.com. I'll put that in the message box, and I'll turn it back over to you, Doug.
Excellent. Yeah, Paul spent a ton of time putting together the CS90. We were looking for something that we could make very simple, so somebody could hear about the product. They don't have to learn everything that I know. They can just simply share the information with somebody else through the score. Person takes the score, they watch video, and then if they want to, they can start. There's no obligations with our company. And so we simply ask people to commit to those 3 months. I met somebody about a month ago that had been in the company for 3 years and never tried the Cell Defender. And I asked him, have you had, like miracle responses happen? They're like, well, I love the products, but I haven't really noticed anything. You need to be on Cell Defender for 3 months. You got to get these metals and toxins out of the way that are simply just mobilizing and circulating in your blood and lymph. You got to get them out of the way so your body now can calm itself down and fix itself. It makes more sense than anything else. And then the nutrition really becomes effective once you've got your organs calm down, your cortisol numbers come down, your adrenaline numbers come down, your body's now fixing itself. And we hear these amazing stories about the product. And I heard one just a couple days ago about another child that's on the spectrum that has amazing results within 2 weeks of taking the Cell Defender. And so with a child, they can use a little less, but getting on the programs, doing the program for 90 days, absolutely key. The Monday night link, the
I'll put
easiest
it up
way.
there. I'll put it up there, Doug.
Yeah, Paul will put it on the chat, but it's health, the letter U, .info. You put that up in the thing, it'll pop the Zoom page right up. And it's Monday at 6 p.m. Mountain Time, 5 Pacific, 8 Eastern. And we want to get as many people. Imagine if everybody on here invited one person to the next Zoom, and then the following Zoom, invite one more. Imagine 100 to 200 to 400 to 800, the number, duplication. Um, we need to share this with people. How many people do you know that have issues and they have no idea about this product? So that's what's really important for the video, because we are recording this video. Um, if anybody's watching this video, somebody sent it to you, get back with that person and ask them, Clean Start 90, a score. Go and take that score. Have them call you back and tell you what the number is. Ask them if they're happy with that number. And then share Journey to Better Health. We put a video together called Journey to Better Health that shows how widespread this problem is. And the problems in medicine that make it even worse. And so get back with that person. Of course, we don't make medical claims. We rarely use medical terms, and this product has not been okayed by the FDA as a product to treat or diagnose or any of that stuff. It is a product that is safe to take. It's a product that's been around since 2003, more than 10 million bottles sold, and it was standardized to work inside the bloodstream um, for those that were taking chemotherapy. And it's the most brilliant product. There's nothing else out there like it. So thanks again for everybody coming. I'm going to stop the recording now.